like I say, they're not even really lying. With the Nixon thing, they kind of show a lot of, or JFK thing, they kind of show a lot of it. The sports radio broadcast tower, except you don't really understand it. The place in the desert where they used to have their fake football games and their fake horse riding ring, and where they would throw the bets and everything else like that, and the fake boxing ring out in the middle of the desert. And it was basically NASA, this Filipino boxer guy who took over what's called, he has a beard or whatever. He took over uh, Persia or Palestine. He took over Palestine. He was up in Palestine basically. He took it over pretty much. He was this boxer that took steroids and leaned on a bunch of other people, and they killed a bunch of people. They had the Starlight bullet, which is basically, like I said, uranium, thorium, and it's uranium, thorium, and some other metals. Basically, like seven different metals, or seven different metals. Um, Basically, it's seven different metals altogether. It's uranium, thorium, and a couple other oxides, and then like a steel metal outer shell, basically. And like I say, at a certain temperature, it basically starts giving off what's it called. So it kills everything and anything. And basically, with that and the Apollo radio show, and which is a dog, and the guy had another dog named Fido. Um, and they basically pretended to be a lot of things, and they were basically just cameramen and pretty much a couple of news people and kind of news people, but mostly cameramen. And basically they had a lot of guns, and pretty much they had the Apollo radio show and with Fido, and with NASA, and NASA the boxer and the boxing ring. Like I said, there's pictures of this NASA building, and it's a boxing ring. People go there and it's like it's a boxing ring. It's always been a boxing ring. It had a sports announcing thing in the back for a while there that would announce the world's sports live, but it wasn't live. They had a 5 second, a 5 minute or 35 minute delay cycle on all the broadcastings. So, and they took over everything by doing horse betting and all that other stuff. So you'd bet on a horse game, and you would pay out, place your bets, and then, but they already knew which horse to bet on, so they would bet against you and equal your bet. So they would take your money basically, um, and pretty much we're just making money like crazy, and like football games. Every time you would bet on a football game, the house or the house, which was basically NASA, the boxer, and the guys who did the Fido and I mean the Apollo and Fido radio show. They basically they pretty much knew which way the bet was going to go, because it was on a 35-minute delay, and everyone thought it was live on television, but it wasn't live on television. It was delayed on television by like up to 3 hours, and so some people would actually figure they kind of figured, well, the reason was most people don't know exactly when a game starts and all that stuff, so they originally started with a 5 or 10 minute delay cycle, but then they went up to a 3 hour delay cycle, and people would actually go watch the game in the stadium, and then they would go home and watch the game at home live. So, and they would wonder why that was, and it was because other people who were betting on the games would go and place bets on the games, and then they would sit down to go watch it live on TV. Anyway, but it wasn't live on TV. It was on a 3 hour delay. So the house and or other people already knew who was going to win the game. So, and they did this for quite a few years, like 5 or 6 years or 10 years, and have accumulated quite a bit of money this way. And this is where Nixon and JFK and all of them got their money, really. Um, Anyway, and eventually they took over the space agency, and basically, like, NASA does not mean National Space Agency, or maybe NASA the gym was just trying to capitalize. I don't know. Anyway, though, basically, NASA was a boxing ring that eventually moved into Looking Glass, or basically White Glass Sands, or whatever, the Florida Space Center, which is mine. and then some piece of shit named it Kenndey, or because he needed a kidney, basically. And so they raised money for his kidney, but realistically, he already had a kidney, and they basically just found some poor kid that was the same blood type and basically ripped it out of him, and basically gave him the kidney from that poor kid, because he was supposed to be something. But realistically, he just had a lot of money and had people that would kill other people for stuff. So, anyway, it's a really bad time for everyone, and really miserable. And a lot of people died and were raped and killed. A lot of other stuff happened. So that was basically the time of the Kennedy. Like I said, I was with Russia, so it really didn't affect me all that much. Me and Russia were like, hee ah, for Mother Russia. Like, I'm serious. Me and Russia, for Mother Russia. Like, yeah, computers, technology, world domination. And me and Russia were like, well, America was like, one piece of bed. I mean, we were making the future. Yeah. Just like me and Germany made the future. Yeah. And then me and Russia made the future. Yeah. Basically. And we were like, greatness and wealth and power and gold and metal and whatever you want, basically. And like I said, America or United States was like, along, basically having to have to come to us for everything, basically. And yeah, it was great in Russia. Russia was powerful. Russia was awesome. Russia was amazing, and me and Russia were great together. And I love Russia, just I love Germany, and everything else like that. And even Mexico was like the great, wonderful Mexico. The United States was like, JFK, Kennedy. Like, you mean, it's like, what are you doing? Anyway, though, and meanwhile, JFK is like, everything's fine. Nixon's like, everything's fine, and it's not fine at all. Like Bill Gates is running around with the star bullets, basically irradiating the world. I mean, you get away, yeah, and you kill whatever is there, but you also irradiate the ground and turn wherever you shoot into a radiological disaster area where you have to basically take a bulldozer and scrape the ground and like scrape the trees and like cover it up with dirt to make it safe again. After every time they shoot off one of those stupid bullets, and it's just because he didn't want to get a parking ticket. Anyway, and stupid stuff like that. So. And Bill Gates is going, I'm the king of everything. Oh, Alpha Romeo. And spraying himself with goat blood and doing LSD. Yeah. And so is Nixon and JFK. So, yeah. And some women are going, oh my God, boyfriend. Because, yeah, I mean, they killed a lot of boyfriends. Yeah, and then the steroid freak walks up and says, hey, baby, let's fuck. And then he looks over there at another girl down the beach, and he's like, after he fucks this girl, and he's like, oh, never mind, I see someone else, and tosses her aside and goes down the beach to fuck another girl. Because that's the way the Kennedys lived, disposable life, and that's basically what the Kennedy nation was about: drugs, sex, and disposable women, disposable friends too. So. Free will, man. Free choice. It's his choice to be stupid or whatever. Besides, he wasn't president. Neither was John McCain or JFK. John McCain wanted to be president too, but they wouldn't let him because they knew he was a psychopath. So, anyway, yeah. Whatever. I'm Brian. I'm Lucifer Star. So, oh well.